Hello friends, welcome to I Made Me Think. In this video series tutorial, we will understand MySQL RDBMS. We will see refreshing mostly used commands. So let's get started. So before beginning, MySQL database is an open source and it is available to download. So you can just go to this URL and download the community version or appropriate version what you want. Unpack the zip file and add the .bin folder up to .bin folder in your path variable, and let's get started. So to run the database you need to just give mysqld command, and to connect it with, you need to just use this command mysql -u root -p. And if you have set as some user, then you can give password or you can just enter. So for now I don't have any password, so let's get started. So agenda is short introduction and most popular used commands. So we will see select statement, useful functions, operators, clause, join, trigger, view, etc. So short introduction. So it is the most popular open source RDBMS in database community. Easy to learn and huge help is available online for support. It uses a standard form of well-known SQL data language. Supports interface with languages, for example PHP, Perl, C, C++, Java, Python, etc. Available on multiple OS platforms. So MySQL select statement or select query. So it is the most widely used SQL statement or query. It provides all features of the select statement in standard SQL. Basic syntax is select column name or names from table name, and you can give a clause like where, or you can make this query as complex as possible. Some of the examples are, so in the database for which I'm going to give you a demo, I have set up a database with couple of tables, and as a workbench I am using a different workbench called Heidi SQL. So this is a portable SQL which you can use for MySQL also. So I'm going with this. So as you can see, I have couple of 5 tables, basically an employee management system, and they are interrelated. So employee ID, department ID, etc. So if you want to see, so the data for, so in the database I have couple of rows for our uh, testing purpose. So select first name from table. So this query means that I want to see all the records from this particular table for this particular column only. This query is again the same thing, but it needs output 2 columns. Select star from this table. So in this query it will show all the records and all the columns of the table which you have selected. In this query, select first name as first name underscore first name all in caps from table. So this is also the similar query as this, only difference is in the output it will show the column name as custom name. So whatever you have specified it here, that name it will show. So we will also run through all the commands one by one. So this is the first command I will be running, select first name from table name. So let's run this, and if you see in the output there are there are more than 900 records, and it is just showing the first column, and so on and so forth. Select star from this. This is the second command, select star from table name. So if you fire this command, it will show all the columns and all the records from this particular table name. Select first name as first name custom and from this table. So if I give this command, in the output if you see there are all the records, but the name of the column is changed, whatever I have specified it here. Next topic is Mysql operators. So we will see some arithmetic operators and comparison operators. So in between your complex query, if you want to do some mathematical operation, that is also possible in MySQL. So for example, select 2 minus 33, so that is going to give you minus 31. So this kind of mathematical arithmetic operation is also possible. You can also have this complex query and say that the column number is sum of number. So if you see here, I am running this command, and in the output I want the column name to be sum of number, etc. And if I give this command, it will show the mathematical arithmetic result, and the column name is what I have specified it here. Comparison operator. So I have this table T2 salary, and I have a column called allowance. So I want, in this particular query, for example, select all the records from this table where allowance. I need to compare this table column allowance with this particular value. If it is not equal to 9000, just show me the results. And likewise there are many operators. Logical operators. So there's a clause called wheres which we will see in a bit, but for now just try to understand that we want to filter the results based on some criteria, based on say 2 criteria. For example, I want all the results, all the columns from this particular table where condition 1 is gender equal to M, and operator, logical and operator, and department ID equal to DEPT03. So this is a logical and operation. So that is how you can use and operator. Likewise there are many operators. So now between operators I want to have all the records wherein the department ID is between 03 and 09, and so on. So comparison operator. So let's run this command. So where I want allowance is not equal to 9000, so now I have 937 records. So this is an and operator. So I want to have results from the table where these are the 2 conditions and they should match with and. So likewise I have 74 records. Logical operators extended. So exists operator. So for example, this is a complex query where I want to select all the records from this particular table where exists true or false. So whatever is after this exists, for example, whatever is after this exists, if it is true, then it will run this main query, or what we can say, this is a main query, this is subquery. So if subquery results in true, that is exist is true, then it will run this. If exist is false, then it will not run this. Like operator. So if you want to do some string match, or if you want to find out similar character, or with, for example, this percentage is a wildcard character, so you can do some certain operations like with like operator, like binary. So like binary is case sensitive, like operator is case insensitive. Is null, is not null. So if your database has, if you're in one of the table, if you have null values, then you can find out using is null or is not null operator. So let's run some commands. So in this, select star from table where exist so certain criteria. So if I run this command, it is exist is coming true, and that is why it is showing results. So now let's say if I change it to some dummy value, unknown value, and if you see the exist is false, so that is why you are not getting any records. Again, this is a like binary operator. So if you run this command, so unfortunately with this particular condition there are no matching records, it is not showing any records. Where clause. So it specifies a condition to filter results. Operators are required to specify the condition. So in where clause we can specify one or multiple conditions so that we can filter out the results based on our criteria. Limit clause. So say that, for example, if your query is resulting in say 1000 records, and you don't want to see all the records, you want to see, for example, you want to limit the records to first 10 records, so you can do it using limit clause. Offset clause. So offset clause is used to skip initial x records what you want. So say I want to see all the records starting from record number 4, and I want to see only 10 records. So you can use this command. For example, select star from this table and limit 10 records but offset 3. So it will skip first 3 records and it will show you next 10 records only. Distinct clause, so to get distinct results based on condition. So for example, this select work location from EMP master table. So there are 1000 records, and each and every there are many employees who are from one location and who are not from different, so there might be duplication of work location. So if you see select distinct, so what it will do is it will show only single record or the first record which is having distinct work location. So now let's see. So first let's see this example. So limit 10 offset 3. So if you run this, it was, so if you see for example employee ID started from 001, but it has skipped first 3 and it is showing the remaining or the next 10 records. Distinct feature here. So if you run this command, so now if you see it is showing only 29 results here. Why? Because there are only 29 locations. So now if I remove this distinct and if I just run this command without distinct, it is showing 949 records. That is why it is not distinct. Group by clause. So if, say that you have certain records in the output and you want to group them by certain criteria, so you can use group by clause, and this is an example. So group by some column name, group by some column name. Order by, so if you want to order it in ascending or descending order, you can do it using order by clause. So this is an example. So where I have a group by command. So if you see, it is grouping by work location. So if you see the work location here, so this is all grouped here, so it is all serially arranged here. So now if you see, the employee IDs are different because they are based on the location, or they are grouped by the location. Order by clause. So now I want to order it by ascending order, so descending order. So I need and on the column department ID. So this is the command for that, and if I run this command, it is arranged ordered by department ID, and if you see department 8 is the first, and then subsequently the department 7 comes. So now, so that is why it is said as ordered in descending order. Useful functions. So MySQL provides some useful functions. For example, count, max, min, average, sum, length. So if you want to do some operations, you can do with these useful functions. So for example, I have done it here using count. So I want to count all the records from this particular table. So if I run this command, it is showing 949 records. That is why, that means it has 949 records. Similarly, you can use other useful functions. So now I'm using sum function, for example. So if I want to sum all the salaries from T2 salary, basic salary, so this is the sum of all the records from T2 salary on the column basic underscore salary. MySQL triggers. Trigger is a database object which is invoked automatically whenever a data in a table is changed, updated, inserted, deleted, etc. Why do we need it? So we need it for logging and recording purpose, we need it for security reasons, and so forth. So for example, if you want to maintain the log of how many people have logged into a particular system at what time, and from what location, so we can have another table, and an entry to the another table will be triggered based on a update or insert or delete or change happened on earlier table. So security reasons also we can have triggers. So for example, if the say in banking, so for example, if you want to do a transaction and your account does not have sufficient funds, so if you want to do a transaction of excessive amount, then it will raise a trigger, it will show and pop up to user or some other, so you can handle it. So example, so this is an example. So create trigger name salary trigger. So for example, consider that I have a table of salary, and at the end of year a person's salary is increased by X amount. So if it is, let's say, considering that if it is increased from 80,000 and above, then the tax slabs should change, for example, based on taxing rules. So that should automatically be triggered. No human intervention should be required. So as soon as the operator changed the salary, the trigger should this trigger will trigger, and it will set the tax cut as 45 or 45%, and so on and so forth. So this particular ID which I am using is not allowing to raise trigger, so I need to do it using command line. So this is the command line MySQL I have used. And let me just raise this trigger. Okay, so it has added that trigger in the MySQL database, and whenever if I change the salary of a particular person's in T2 salary table, it will trigger it automatically, and it will set the tax cut. MySQL index. So it is used to speed up the query result with short operations. MySQL uses some B tree index and so on and so forth. So if I want to run a index on a particular column, I can do single column index, or I